Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
She also claimed that she would happily spend 2 years in prison for misgendering a trans person.
I'm down to let her call me a girl if it means we don't have to hear from this Avada dumbass for another 2 years. We don't have to hear from her. She goes to prison and she's gonna look stupid. That's a win-win-win situation for me. Like, we could even make it a recurring thing where I show up on the day you're gonna get released. You can do it again. I feel better. You feel better. You can just walk yourself right back in. Shut up, Joanne. Nobody asked.
So hate crimes against transgender people hit a record high in England and Wales. Increases of up to 11% in recorded incidents may be due to comments in media and by politicians, says a new Home Office report. Now, this rise in hate crimes against transgender people came at the same time that for the first time, recorded racist and homophobic hate crimes actually fell for the first time since they've been recorded. In the year ending in March 2023, 4,732 hate crimes against transgender people were recorded, which was a rise of 11% from the previous year. Now, this comes after the highly criticised comments by Rishi Sunak, whose keynote speech to the Conservative conference seemed to argue that transgender identities were not valid. He said a man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense. And that was met with a lot of anger from people in the transgender community, but in other communities as well. The LGBTQ plus group Stonewall criticised political leaders for not having acted seriously or quick enough against hate crimes, adding that many of them are filling the public domain with toxic language that dehumanises the LGBTQ plus people. Leah Morris, the CEO of the LGBT plus anti-abuse charity Gallup, said the figures did not reflect the true reality of what's happened in the transgender community. She said in the last year alone, they've seen 65% increase in the victims of hate crime coming to them for support. These figures have never captured the true picture of hate crimes in this country. The government's own research shows that over 90% of anti-LGBTQ plus hate crimes go unreported. This is a case of poor data not reflecting reality. She goes on to say, we believe this reflects a decrease in the trust of the police and the criminal justice system and fewer victims coming forward to formally report what's happened to them.
The Democratic Party currently controls all of the levers of power in the Michigan government. They control the state house, the state senate, the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, is a Democrat. All of the major statewide elected offices are held by Democrats. And right now, they are trying to pass what is truly an insane law that is completely antithetical to the First Amendment. What I'm about to tell you is the quintessential reason why we don't vote for Democrats. Give them power at your own risk. The bill is HB 4474, and it is being described in the media as a quote-unquote hate crimes bill. The bill rewrites the state's penal code to make it a hate crime if somebody threatens by word or act, the key word there being word, the actual or perceived characteristics of another individual. And they list out all of the things that fall under that. One of these is gender identity or expression. They define gender identity or expression as, quote, having or being perceived as having a gender-related self-identity or expression, whether or not associated with an individual's assigned sex at birth. And here's the most insane part. They define intimidate as, quote, a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened. So if somebody feels terrorized, frightened, or threatened by your speech, that is now going to be a hate crime in the state of Michigan. So say you use the incorrect pronouns for a transgender person. That is now going to be a hate crime. Say you're a preacher who believes in the biblical view that marriage is between a man and a woman. That will also now be a hate crime. And these hate crimes will be defined as felonies punishable by imprisonment for not more than 5 years or a fine of not more than $10,000. So the state of Michigan now wants to put people in jail who misgender others. Refusing to abide by the idea that men can become women is going to be a felony in Michigan. And it will give them power to put you in jail for it. This is what happens when you give Democrats power, folks.
Y'all want to hear a funny story that's actually not that funny? To be specific, the time I got hate crimed. And if you stay tuned, I even have a video of it. Actually, I'll show the video first. I'll just explain what happened afterwards. Trigger warning. This is extreme transphobia.
I almost got jumped.
Mars.
I sound like Mars. Marge? You Marge. Anyways, here's the video.
Don't walk up on him. No, don't walk up on him. Come on, let's get away from this little girl. Let's get away from this little girl.
Yeah, keep misgendering.
First of all, y'all need to calm down.
First of all, that is a girl, bro. Who is you to come check somebody, bro? Check me like that. No, she not known. Around me, she not known as no God, bro. She's trying to fight back. That is a female. But you can't, I did not come at you because I called you a girl? Yeah. You're not going to call you a girl, you're a fucking girl, bro.
Sorry it's super trimmed up, it's a long video. And I also wanted to censor all their faces, so sorry it's kind of blacked out for a lot of the time. But short, uncomplicated backstory. Can't remember the exact reason, but they ended up misgendering me and I corrected them. Now, they weren't happy about that and started making fun of me with their friends. And I ain't no bitch, so that turned into a little bit of an argument. And he tried to jump me the next period at lunch. Oh, and the school didn't do shit. Actually, speaking of, that school was so shitty when it came to being trans. The hate crime got so bad that they got sick of me reporting it to them, so they created a Google form to fill out instead of me actually talking to them. Not to mention the counselor refused to use any name for me if it couldn't be my dead name. And even the staff made fun of the trans students. But that's a different story.
Earlier this week, I was invited by Stonewall to attend a hate crime briefing attended by a few MPs. In attendance was Labour's Stephen Doherty, SNP Hannah Bardell, and Conservative members Elliot Colburn and Peter Gibson. In the briefing, I spoke for about 7 minutes talking about my experiences of hate crime and how it affected me mentally and physically. Also, I mentioned how sharing my story let other victims of hate crimes share their experiences. Most of these people didn't share their stories because of their lack of confidence in the police and also the consequences of what may follow. In my speech, I spoke about the role of the police and what the government should do to tackle hate crime, including hate crime online, which I've experienced a lot of, education, and more training and funding for the police. But most of all, I said how we need to stop the media and MPs using anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric and culture wars to get votes. Like, it's so stupid and dangerous. I said that I see my attacker as a pawn in a chess game, with the media and politicians as being the king and queen. They are fueling, they're supporting, and they are encouraging the hatred in people's lives. The briefing didn't last more than an hour, and I got a sense of feeling, even from the Tory MPs, that they were disgusted and they were so unhappy with MPs using anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric and culture wars in their speeches. They were especially not very happy with Rishi and Suella. I have to admit, it did give me some confidence knowing that there are politicians in Parliament who are trying their best for the LGBTQ+ community. However, I just wish more MPs spoke out. Also, I do have to admit, it did feel like preaching to the converted. Have you heard that the Home Office Undersecretary, Sarah Dines, described comments at an LGBTQ+ hate crime debate in Westminster Hall as hysterics? If you don't know, I was a victim of an LGBTQ+ hate crime earlier this year, and I'm documenting my journey, making the media and politicians accountable for all the anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric they are spewing out and how it's encouraging other people's hateful ideologies. So if you remember, I was invited by Stonewall to attend a briefing about LGBTQ+ hate crimes, which was attended by Stephen Doherty, Hannah Bardell, Elliot Colburn and Peter Gibson. And the next day in Westminster Hall, there was a debate all about LGBTQ+ hate crimes and the rise of it and how we can tackle it. And when I say debate, it was pretty much a discussion because nearly everyone there was in agreement that the government needs to do more to tackle LGBTQ+ hate crimes and people need to call out those MPs who are spewing out the anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric and culture wars. Now, at the end of this debate, Conservative Sarah Dines, who's also the Undersecretary for the Home Office, had her say. And let me just say, it made my blood boil. First of all, she described the comments made in the debate as hysterics. Can I just say, there were MPs who are part of the LGBTQ+ community who were in attendance of that debate, who were sharing their own experiences of LGBTQ+ hate crimes. Having your experiences described as hysterical, I'm sorry, but that was like, what other reaction could I have? It made me feel angry, it made me feel sick, and it made me just think, what an unempathetic woman this is. And also, what a way to deter people from reporting a hate crime when you've got someone in government calling you hysterical. Sarah also said that the data is on a downward tip, and the reason for the rise is because of better reporting. And she said we should really take this as a positive. But one thing she doesn't acknowledge is that 91% of LGBTQ+ hate crime victims do not report. Sarah, that is 91%. How can we be positive about that? She also said that she doesn't blame MPs using anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric in the rise of hate crimes. She read from the reports, transgender issues have been heavily discussed by politicians, the media and social media over the past year, which may have led to an increase in these offences, or more awareness from the police and better identification and recording of that. Now, she interpreted that comment as this: it is more online, the media, but also more importantly, police officers are more likely to understand it now for the rise in hate crimes against the LGBTQ+ community. Also, did I just mishear something? Didn't the report say that she read out mention that politicians are heavily discussing transgender issues? Also, the topic of conversion therapy came up and an MP asked her, when will it be banned? Her reply was very soon, but she admitted she didn't know what very soon meant and she said she couldn't give an exact date. And judging from the headlines, I'm guessing very soon for her means never. So that's Sarah Dines for you. Out of touch, dismissive, unempathetic. Like, how much worse can it actually get?
I was harassed and was kicked out of a gay bar, which should have been a safe space, but wasn't. Not only was I kicked out, but my wife was kicked out along with me. So I made a video when I got home about how it felt to process that. Trigger warning, if you're able to watch, okay. But if you feel like this is too heavy, that is okay too. But before you go, I just wanted to say that I appreciate you for being you and protecting you, and I love you so much.
I honestly don't know what to do, but like, there was like a really bad experience. Basically, I was just getting a drink at the bar and they called both Azul and I ladies. After they were done making the drink, I went up and I was like, some people don't refer to themselves as ladies, but it's okay that you didn't know. And in a gay bar, so I should feel safe. Too bad, turned it around. They got so mad at me and they took the drink away from my wife and I. He hit the bar, like, because he was like, are you serious? You're doing the same thing to me. How? And then they kicked us out. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Like, how am I supposed to feel? This was the first time that I've like told somebody. I felt brave enough to tell somebody my identity. And I just wanted to let him know, and I told him it's okay that you didn't know. He was still mad at me for being myself and for my wife being themselves. Just hurt. We were kicked out so fast. And I tried talking to the other person. He came over and was like, what's going on? It was another straight white man. When I told him he's just not respecting our identity and I don't understand why. And he was like, you know what, just leave. And I got kicked out of a bar. Technically supposed to be a queer bar, but it's just gay white men.
Yes.
Oh my god, it was supposed to be a positive experience. I felt so embarrassed.
I want to let you know.
Yeah.
Furious and livid.
I know, it's so bad, it's so bad. Like, imagine if I didn't accept you for just being gay. Dude, like, are you serious? And he's told me, I'm being a gentleman calling you a lady. That's not something bad. Like, I'm just sharing that part and I just wanted you to be like, okay, sorry.
What would you like?
What would you like to hear? And like, it's not like we even talk a lot. It felt like a dad, like yelling at you. Oh my god.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna have some water. And I'm okay. It's just hard.
One more thing that I wanted to add is that he yelled at my wife and told them that he sees us as ladies, and so he will always refer to us as ladies. Bye! And at the end of the day, transphobia within the community is so disgusting, and it happens all the time, even if you don't realize it. Like making fun of neo-pronouns, yes, that's transphobia. Making fun of they-them pronouns, that is transphobia. Refusing to use a pronoun that feels the most comfortable to a person because of something that they can't help. Going out of your way to make sure not to use that person's pronouns is so transphobic. And if we don't unpack our internalized transphobia or homophobia, how can we expect the rest of the world to? Let's not forget about the silencing of people of color within the community, and that these are things that people like me should be working on and through, or else things truly don't get better. This is our community. It was never made for just a few. And in this situation, I know I was lucky enough to be a white person. And because of this, I will never stop letting people know my truth. Nor will I ever stop introducing it in the most polite way that I can. And if that's not good enough for them, then their business, their friendship, their relationship, it's not good enough for me. Bye. Even if they have great food, great drinks, whatever, doesn't matter. They're not willing to learn. They're not willing to accept the damage that they've done. And in a lot of these queer spaces, it seems like the people that take up the most room are gay white men. And I think we need to do something about that. And it's okay to learn new things every day. In fact, it's encouraged to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. Who knew?